What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports to help give you the edge for this NBA 5-game Thursday slate. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys want to be entered into the $25 giveaway that we will announce on stream tomorrow, please like, subscribe, and also comment your favorite GPP option on this slate. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NBA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.patreon.com/DGFantasy for more information. On Patreon, we give advanced cheat sheets for all DFS sports on DraftKings. These cheat sheets include updated projections, ownership, and our overall favorite plays from slate to slate. We take it a step further by teaching you how to play fantasy sports like a shark, by showing you where the best leverage spots are to put you in the best spots to take down tourneys. Also included is our private Discord chat where you get to talk over the slate with everyone, including our coaches, to help build your lineups. Now let's go ahead and dive right into this NBA 5-game slate, but first I have to show off the Patreon success that we had last night. $120 from this Patreon member into $370, so close GPP takedown for him. We had another takedown here, $12.85, small GPPs. I'm telling you guys, that's where it's at. That's how you make money in DFS. $5.39, $8.30, keep going here, $80.352. And then the League of Legends win as well, and also got a takedown in a 4-man GPP, $85.300, and $506 won total on the night. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about this slate. This slate is a very confusing one if you're just looking at it from an outsider's view. We have a ton of injury news, and not really injury news. It's more of a benefactor from what happened from the trade yesterday. As you guys know, James Harden got traded to the Brooklyn Nets in a four-team trade, so they were moving places all over the place. One of the biggest benefactors for Houston is that they got Oladipo and just a huge amount of draft picks. But what does that mean for DFS tonight? What that means is that the majority of these players that were involved in trades are going to be sitting. For the Houston Rockets, no longer James Harden. John Wall is out. Okay, so we have to look at this roster without John Wall, without Harden, and specifically also without Oladipo. We got to give him some time to get back, obviously into Houston and practicing time with this team to actually see some court time. So, with that being said, the Houston Rockets, again, without James Harden, John Wall, Dante Exum, Daniel House, and also Thomas. Eric Gordon is technically questionable. That is something that will impact them even more. But Houston is going to be the team that we're looking at. Another noteworthy team that we're going to be focusing on is the Miami Heat. We have Vincent, questionable, more towards the probable side. We have Miles Leonard, Adebayo, Bradley, Butler, Dragic, Harkless, Haslam, Nunn, all out for these guys. The one thing about the Miami Heat is that their price tags all did get a sharp increase in salary, but they're all still very undervalued. They're still running about an 8-man rotation. So it's definitely going to be the Houston Rockets and Miami Heat that we're going to be focusing on for value for the slate. Look nowhere else. I promise you, these players are in the best spots to hit some value tonight. All right, looking at Philly, though, we have Seth Curry, Korkmaz, Poyer out. San Antonio, we have Diop, Eubanks, Weatherspoon, and White all out. With Charlotte, Gordon Hayward is questionable. That will be something that we're going to be taking a look at because there's some good additional value here for Charlotte if Hayward is ruled out. McCaw out. For Golden State, we have nobody noteworthy. And then for Denver, we have Porter, Winnington. And then for Indiana, we have Lamb, LeVert. By the way, LeVert's not playing tonight. Another trade deal. They are without Oladipo, so we will take them off the court and look at Indiana. And then TJ Warren also out for these guys. For Portland, they're coming off a back-to-back here. Zach Collins is out. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a last-minute resting candidate in either CJ McCollum or Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard got me a win in a couple of my contests because of his low ownership. 5% owned, dropped to 71 bombs. So definitely am a fan of Damian Lillard. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to the actual slate like we were talking about. Miami's without all these injuries. Let's go ahead and just go past all of them because we already know what they are. Let's look at this roster. We have Precious at the very top here, 8.1 point per dollar value. I have him projected at 35.52 points. Averages, if you guys want to pop over here to the usage chart, Precious averages 1.11 fantasy points per minute with all these injuries off the court and about 35 minutes of sample size, so that's almost a full game. I'm feeling pretty confident that that's what he's going to replicate, especially with the thin rotation. Kelly Olynyk averages 0.92 fantasy points per minute. Tyler Hero 1.28 fantasy points per minute with all these injuries off the court. That's going to be the guy that you're going to want in all your lineups just because he does garner the highest usage rate. Yes, he's a 7K price tag, still undervalued for a guy that's averaging 1.28 fantasy points per minute. Looking over at James Johnson, 0.81 fantasy points per minute. Gabe Vincent, probable right now, averaging 0.94 fantasy points per minute. And then also Andre Iguodala, 0.86 fantasy points per minute. So putting that all together in terms of value, let's go ahead and take a look at the roster. Like I said, Precious is the best at 8.1 point per dollar value, projected at 32 minutes. Gabe Vincent projected at 32 minutes as well. 7.2 point per dollar value. Struss is actually up here, playing in only 24 minutes, but still a 6.8 point per dollar value because he's only $3,100. Tyler Hero averaging 1.28 fantasy points per minute at 7.3K gives him a 6.5 point per dollar value. Kelly Olynyk is the only guy that I'm really not thrilled about on this team. A 6.4 price tag. Did get a heavy boost from his last price tag. I believe it was 5.3K. So over $1,100 here for Kelly Olynyk, and the price increase. A 5.9 point per dollar value. Duncan Robinson also not too thrilled with. We know he's a volume shooter, not that high of a usage guy. 5.5K. Again, I don't mind these guys. It's just that I'm not thrilled about their price tags. I definitely like some of the studs here on the Houston side of the ball a little bit more than Duncan Robinson and Kelly Olynyk. 5.7 point per dollar value. Silva, a 5.5 point per dollar value. And Andre Iguodala is not worth talking about, projected at 24 minutes. But yeah, to kind of recap here, you want to start your building blocks here with Precious, Gabe, and I do like Tyler Hero, possibly even Struss, and that's already half of your roster if you are constructing it based on value. Looking over at Philly, these guys are all tournament plays. Right now, we just expect Seth Curry, Korkmaz, and Poirier to sit out. We saw what Joel Embiid did to him the other night. 82.5 points. Had a crazy second half. Finished the night 16 for 23. They're without Bam Adebayo, so no big man to really guard him. Do like him in the smash spot. You're going to have to pay up somewhere. I do like Joel Embiid as a pay up spot. I think he's going to be relatively chalky. Ben Simmons, $8,700, strictly GPP. Maxi, GPP. Tobias Harris is going to be GPP. All these guys' price tags are a little bit high for me. I'm going to be focusing on the Houston value, and we will get to that here in just a little bit. With Gordon Hayward, expected, we actually don't know what he's expecting to do. He is questionable. We don't know whether he's going to sit or start. If he is held out, that's going to give a nice usage boost to guys like Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges, and also LaMelo Ball. Really like those guys because they carry a high amount of usage. I will look at guys like Devontae Graham. Should get a boost in minutes and usage at 6K. I think he's relatively cheap for the amount of output that he could have. Terry Rozier, same exact thing, 6.2K, 5.2 point per dollar value. And also, Bismack Biyombo is still a guy that's underpriced. I do like him at his price tag, $4,000. But again, don't look anywhere else but the Miami Heat and Houston Rockets for value. Do like these guys to get a boost in usage. And we saw what LaMelo Ball did last night. His very first dud of the season, but only playing in 25 minutes. I do like him to have a bounce back. He did get a price increase in $7,600. So I do prefer somebody like Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier a little bit more than LaMelo Ball. Looking over at Toronto, strictly tournament plays. Again, like I said, you're going to have to pay up somewhere. Don't hate these guys if you land on them. They're in a pace-up spot here versus Charlotte. This game's actually relatively high. It has a relatively high over-under, 221.5. Indiana and Portland actually have the highest one here on the slate. Don't mind some of these guys. Chris Boucher has been absolutely crushing it. 5.7 point per dollar value. Anunoby, a 5.2 point per dollar value. But I don't like these guys outside of bigger tournaments. Going over to Houston, let's talk about Houston. They are the best value on the entire slate, starting with David Nwaba. If we take a look at the usage chart, I had to go back to the previous two seasons. Taking John Wall off the court, if I took him off, we get like 20-minute sample sizes for all these guys. So move past John Wall having a 35% usage rate. DeMarcus Cousins actually has the highest, but he's only playing about 18 minutes in this game, averaging 1.53 fantasy points per minute. Don't hate him for GPPs. Christian Wood is the one guy I want to talk about. He is projected to play 34 minutes, and he's averaging 1.42 fantasy points per minute without James Harden and all these other injuries off the court. He garners a 26.5% usage rate, and that's actually very, very high for a big man because they're not the one handling the ball most possessions. So if you're involved in nearly 27% of offensive possessions as a big man, that means you really have something going for you. Icing on the cake is his additional rebounds. But really do like Christian Wood here. 1.42 fantasy points per minute. Another guy I want to talk about is Eric Gordon. 0.97 fantasy points per minute, and this is only in 76 minutes of sample size. It got off to a slow start, so I think this is a little conservative on the fantasy points. If we look back last season, he was averaging about 1.1 fantasy points per minute without James Harden on the court, so I do like him in his minutes. If we look at his projected minutes right now, they're at 34. If he does play, if he is held out, you can load up on the Houston guys and not even look at Miami at that point. Just way too many minutes for Eric Gordon to not hit value. His price tag is at 5.1K. So I do like him more than Duncan Robinson. Like we were just talking about, David Nwaba, 1.01 fantasy points per minute, is very aggressive. 24% usage. I do like him at the near bottom of the barrel price tag. And a couple of these other guys we'll talk about. Sterling Brown playing in 31 minutes, projected 8.2 point per dollar value. I really do like him. These two guys are actually my favorite value options on the slate, David Nwaba and Sterling Brown, just because of their minute production with their fantasy points per minute. I do like them. PJ Tucker is probably the only guy I don't like that doesn't get a usage boost. He literally just stands in the corner, and I mean that. $3,800 projected in 34 minutes, literally averages 0.32 fantasy points per minute. Don't have too much interest in terms of sheer upside. If you want to take him in GPPs, feel free to do that. Don't hate it. I just don't like his fantasy points per minute. Deshaun Tate is another option, $3,300, and then of course Macklemore at playing 26 minutes. We know that if he gets hot and gets it going, he's a volume shooter, and he could get an extended stretch of minutes here in this game. So like all these players, first and foremost, I just like the guys towards the top that are playing more minutes. David Nwaba and Sterling Brown are my favorite value plays. Looking over the San Antonio Spurs, DeMar DeRozan is questionable. If he is held out, we know what to look at here. It's going to be Keldon Johnson, LaMarcus Aldridge, and DeJounte Murray. They're going to get the biggest boost in usage. All these guys did come up in price tags, so I'm not in love with them. I only like them if DeMar DeRozan is held out, and then if DeMar DeRozan is playing, I only like DeMar DeRozan, if that makes sense. So not too much interest here. It's going to be a pace down spot for the Spurs. Looking over at the Warriors, strictly tournaments, I'm only looking at guys like Draymond Green. 4K price tag isn't too bad, and then I also like Steph Curry coming down in the price tag here, $9,700. Another pay up option you're gonna have to consider on this slate. Looking over to Denver, this is going to be a chalky player and Jokic, just because he's going to be one of the only pay up options. You're going to have so much value. You're going to have to pay up for one of these studs. And I think Jokic, based on what he did last game, dropping a 67 bomb, is a very good option against a very soft Golden State Warriors defense. So I do like him at 11K. I think he's a very obvious pay up option, and obviously does benefit here with Michael Porter Jr. being out. Last but not least, we actually have the highest over-under game on the slate. Oladipo is out because he is no longer on the team. Sabonis does benefit here, $9,500. He did come up in the price tag. Don't mind him for GPPs, and I don't hate him for a last spot in cash. Other guys that benefit are obviously Aaron Holiday. Aaron Holiday is projected at 24 minutes right now, $4,500. He did get a sharp boost in salary, but again, I prefer all the Houston guys for value. One last guy that gets a benefit in usage is going to be Malcolm Brogdon. He did drop a dud last game, so I do like him. Carrying lower, hopefully, ownership, playing in 36 minutes, has been a stud other than the last game. Does get a boost in usage with Oladipo off the court, so I don't mind him, and I actually like him as a last spot in cash. And then last but not least, we can talk about the Portland Trail Blazers. Right now, again, all these players are rest candidates. One player that sticks out to me is going to be Nurkic, a 6.5 point per dollar value, only $5,300. Got a sharp decrease in price tag, was $6,100 in the last slate. Don't know what the deal is there. I guess it's just because of his limited minutes. He's only projected at 27, but I do like him as the last piece. If you land on him, again, I still go to the Houston value. Houston value should smash tonight. Robert Covington, don't have too much interest in. Same thing with Derrick Jones. Damian Lillard, $9,300. I don't hate him for a last spot. And then obviously CJ McCollum for tournaments. This is the highest over under on the slate, and Portland is a 2-point favorite, so it should be a relatively close matchup. Then that will end my video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. We'll see you on the live stream later, and let's cash.